Yo, yo, yo. This week on the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, Aaron Rodgers, he is going to do something in Pittsburgh that hasn't been done in over 20 years. NBA Finals, who wins Game 3 tonight, and the top 5 NBA championship teams of all time. So keep it locked right here. Episode 88 of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast starts right now. Appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. We got a great show for you. We are always live on YouTube every Wednesday night. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. Subscribe to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, of course, and anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. So I'm talking about Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Jukeboxes, Your Mama Radio, Everybody Radio, where you can hear podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to it. We got great stuff coming every week. We are on episode 88. Can't believe that. Season 8, episode 4. But like I said, we got a great show, so we're going to go ahead and get cracking, get into it, starting with the ladies first, of course. So we're going to get into women's tennis. Well, we're getting into tennis in general, but we're going to start with the ladies. So congratulations to Coco Gauff. All right. She won the French Open this past weekend. She beat number 1 ranked in the world, Sabalenka, in 3 sets. She is the first American to win the French Open in 10 years. Serena Williams, the GOAT, last person to do that in 2015. So congrats to Coco Gauff. She is world number 2 right now. And hopefully after beating world number 1 over the weekend, she will be the number 1 women's tennis player in the world going into Wimbledon next month. So congrats to her. But also on the men's side, epic championship on the men's side. Probably the best championship I've seen in tennis in a long time. Carlos Alcaraz, Jarek Simmer, 5 sets. I mean, Alcaraz won. He was down the whole match and defended off 3 championship points in the 4th set to come back and win it in 5. The match was over 5 hours. It was crazy. But congratulations to him, never giving up on himself, playing like a champion. Again, he's a former world number 1, so he knows what it takes to win. And congrats to him. I think he's the best tennis player in the world right now. I think Novak Djokovic was in the French Open, but I think Alcaraz right now in his prime. Djokovic is kind of sunsetting right now, and got to give it to Alcaraz. So shout out to him for winning the French Open in epic fashion. All right. What else we got on the quick news? We got some NHL. Okay. If you've been following the Stanley Cup final, Game 4 is tomorrow night in Florida. Game 3 was on Monday, and Florida won, blew out Edmonton 6-1. You probably turned on the TV and saw a fight, and then a hockey game broke out. It was a big brawl in this fight, but Florida still managed to score multiple goals in each period, win 6-1. So shout out to them. They take a lead in the series 2-1. Game 6, like I said, Game 4, like I said, is tomorrow night. And I got Edmonton winning the series, so I have Edmonton winning this Game 4 and responding to the beatdown they got on Monday. I think they go ahead and take care of business and tie this series up 2-2 tomorrow night in Florida and take that series back home to Edmonton. They do not want to go down 3-1 going home. So I'm looking for Connor McDavid to show up. I know he's been kind of bottled up in this series and been getting a lot of assists. He's got to make something happen. He's the best player in the world. He's got to show it. This is a career-defining game, and I don't think that is hyperbolic to say it, because this is going to be his legacy. If he wins a Stanley Cup, he can be in the upper echelon of the greats, the Sidney Crosbys. He's not at Wayne Gretzky level yet, even though he's playing in Edmonton. Those fans could definitely talk about him and Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky in that same ilk. But for NHL as a whole, if Connor McDavid wins this, like I said, you put him in the Ovechkin category, those types of greats. So this is a huge pivotal game for them tomorrow night, and I think they get it done. Now with the NFL, we got minicamp starting, so you already know what that means. Players are going to be sitting out. All right. So we got 4 key players I want to touch on real quick that are sitting out of minicamp because of contracts. So you got Trey Hendrickson with the Bengals, who's sitting out. And honestly, I don't think the Bengals pay him. So he may be moving on. You got Jonnu Smith, the tight end in Miami for the Dolphins. Now, he put up some great numbers last year. That was the best season he had in his career up to date. He kept me in my fantasy league single-handedly. I picked him up mid-season, around like week 4, week 5 even, and he dominated for me. So had a breakout year. We'll see if the Dolphins actually become a smart organization and pay him. I don't think they will. He might go to somewhere else. So Jonnu Smith is sitting out. You got Terry McLaurin sitting out for the Washington Commanders. Now, Washington with new ownership, if this was still Dan Snyder, they probably wouldn't have paid him. But with Magic Johnson and company and this new ownership group, I think they understand what they have at the quarterback position in Jaden Daniels. So I would not be surprised if Scary Terry gets his money and they continue to move forward and build on what they did last year, try to get to a Super Bowl. So I think Terry gets his money, but he's sitting out too. Last but not least, TJ Watt, Pittsburgh Steelers, far and away the best player on the team on both sides of the ball. So they'd be silly not to pay him, but he's sitting out because he wants a new contract as well. He understands his value. He understands what the team looks like when he doesn't play and what they look like when he does play. And it's the difference between going to a playoff and not, and sitting at home. And I think he's well aware of it. So I look to see TJ Watt getting his money and getting paid as well. So with that, it's a very nice segue. We can go ahead and move on to the segments. And I want to go ahead and dive in real quick with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Aaron Rodgers finally makes his way to Pittsburgh. He's going to be their quarterback. I think he signed a 1-year deal, like $13 million, like $10 million or something guaranteed. You know how NFL contracts are. They tell you what the guaranteed is, but it's a lot of bonuses, incentives and stuff in there, especially for veterans. So congrats. They got their quarterback, but at what cost did they get their quarterback? So what I think is going to happen, and like I said, something that hasn't happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers since I was a freshman in college, all right? I don't think that they have a winning record in 2025. This will be the first time in decades that the Pittsburgh Steelers do not have a winning record. Why do you say that, Jay? Well, they pick up a quarterback who'll be 42 years old in December. This ain't Tom Brady that they're picking up, right? He's shown regression year after year after year since he left Green Bay. He tore his Achilles in New York the first year. The second year, his record was worse than Zach Wilson's. So they moved on and started with Aaron Glenn, a new regime. So from my personal experience, you don't get healthier the older you get. I can tell you that right now. Speaking for all my 40-year-olds out there, we don't get healthier the older we get, all right? And I think what Tom Brady did and what LeBron James is doing is an aberration. People think that that's the norm. Like playing at quarterback 15 years in the NFL is a lot. Playing 15, 18 NBA seasons is a lot of seasons. I just heard Paul George say it on a different podcast. Like, if I get 18 years in the NBA at the highest level, like as one of the best players, I feel like that's a win. Like that's something I never thought I'd be able to do. And I agree with him. And that's somebody who had a potentially career-ending injury like Aaron Rodgers. Paul George broke his leg on national TV, if you don't remember. And so Aaron Rodgers, with this torn Achilles, did it at the age of 40, unlike Paul George, who broke his leg at 24, 25 years old, right? He did it in the latter part of his career and is expected to come back and do something for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. I just don't see it happening, number one. right? His age, the attrition. And I feel some type of way about a player talking about retirement year after year after year. That's just me. If you let that creep into your mind, are you 100% invested? Or do you just want to continue to play football to break records? And I told Miss D this a couple of days ago. Honestly, I think the reason that he is continuing to play football, and y'all can look this up, I think he is 3 or 4 touchdowns away from passing Brett Favre as the all-time touchdown leader. He wouldn't be the all-time leader in touchdowns, but on that list, he is about 3 or 4 touchdowns away of passing Brett Favre. So thinking of a personality like an Aaron Rodgers, to be able to full circle pass up a guy that didn't want to mentor him, that probably hazed him, borderline bullied him when he was in Green Bay, when he was a young quarterback, didn't give him a chance. To be able to play and surpass that guy in touchdowns is something for his ego, is kind of what I think it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. But I think that's a little nugget of motivation for Aaron Rodgers to continue to play, right? Something he can hold over Brett Favre's head for the rest of his career. But other than that, I don't see any reason why he should play. He has not shown that he is a productive or good quarterback. You listen to all these other shows, they're going to tell you, well, the last 6 games of the season, he played great. Unfortunately, there's 18 weeks in the NFL regular season. So if you start off bad and end great, it don't matter if the season in its totality is bad, right? So again, age, injuries, the way he dragged his feet throughout the entire offseason, let them go through the draft, all of these things. They skipped free agency right after the season, sitting there waiting for Aaron Rodgers to call. He finally does, and they get him now. So the team that's already there may feel a type of way about that, right? His reputation precedes him, and not in a good way. So there's that. And the Steelers just feel desperate. The Steelers are a class organization in the NFL, in sports, right? 6 Super Bowls. They're tied with the Patriots with 6 Super Bowls. They have a prestigious lineage of coaches. In the franchise's history, they've only had 3 coaches: Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. In 70 years, or however long the Pittsburgh Steelers have existed, they've only had 3 coaches. So there's a level of consistency, sustainability, excellence in winning that goes on in Pittsburgh. And I think that the Steelers are panicking right now. They know that they are in a quarterback-driven league, so they desperately seek out Aaron Rodgers for his name and the talent they hope he still has. And they just look desperate. This is a move I didn't think the Pittsburgh Steelers would do. You had Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in-house. You didn't want to keep them or pay them. They are younger, healthier, and both of them by committee got you to the playoffs, which is what the Steelers have been known to do every year, along with winning records. And this will be the year that ends, simply because they looked over the NFL landscape and got desperate. Simple as that. And so with that, you have to deal with this Aaron Rodgers saga, everything that comes with him in the media. And then I hear people saying, oh, but it's the Steelers and Mike Tomlin's buttoned up and he won't allow that stuff to happen. I don't know. I feel like because you brought Aaron Rodgers in the building, you have not relinquished the locker room or leadership, but you've allowed distraction to creep in because you have distraction at the quarterback position. So that's what I think about them. They're not going to win enough games to have a winning record this season, which, like I said, the first time this will happen since my freshman year of college, which was a long time ago. All right. And on top of that, look at the schedule. So he's got to go against Joe Burrow twice. He's got to see Lamar Jackson twice. I think they go to the Chargers. They play them. They got the NFC North that they got to play. So they go to Detroit, They got Minnesota coming in. They got to go to Chicago. And I'm willing to bet my boy, he know who I'm talking about, my boy Tom, whatever you want, and we can bet on that Bears-Steelers game. I got us in Soldier Field for sure, winning that game in November. Probably end up going to that game. We'll talk about that. So with all that being said, like, I don't see a path for them to even get to 9-8. Green Bay is going to be good and much improved this year too. So within their own division, the NFC North, they got to play all the AFC teams that were in the same line as them last season, which is why they play the Chargers. So I don't see it happening. I think they got Buffalo this year. Like, come on. I looked at their schedule and I don't see 9 wins when I look at it. So for me, those are the things that I'm looking at, the key components. You have an older, injured, distracted Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. You have a team that has abandoned ship when it comes to their priorities in terms of what they've done to become the Pittsburgh Steelers by basically throwing it all in to get Aaron Rodgers. And then the schedule. The schedule doesn't look good for them either. So y'all let me know what y'all think. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a winning record this year, which breaks a 20-plus year run of having a winning record. They didn't make the playoffs every year, but they had a winning record. They never were under 500. And I think this will be the first time that happens in a very long time, since before Aaron Rodgers was in the NFL. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Like I said, you can always comment below. Do you think the Pittsburgh Steelers has a winning record this season with Aaron Rodgers? Y'all go ahead and let me know what y'all think. Okay. The X-Factor Sportz Podcast. We are on episode 88 on YouTube every Wednesday. So be sure to like, share, and hit that subscribe button if you're watching. But if you're listening, that means you're either on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, YouTube Music, Samsung Podcasts, everywhere, basically. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, that's probably where you're listening in. So tell a friend to check out the X-Factor Sportz Podcast every week. Cool. Okay, so let's switch gears to the NBA. So we got the NBA Finals, which is on right now, or getting ready to start right now. And Game 3 of OKC and Indiana. The series moves to Indy tonight. We saw what OKC did at home. We saw that they split. Tyrese Halliburton hits the game winner in Game 1. OKC comes back and responds in Game 2. So who wins Game 3 and why? Based on what I've seen in the first 2 games, I have to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder winning Game 3, and here's why. There are a couple things that they can do, 2 key components they can have to win this series and to win Game 3, especially on the road, right? Number 1, if you watch the first 2 games in OKC, Game 1, the reason they lost Game 1 is because they didn't play Oklahoma City basketball on the offensive end, meaning they usually share the ball has good energy, everybody touches it, gets good looks. It wasn't that wasn't happening in Game 1. And I don't know if we can credit Indiana's defense to that, for keeping the ball in Shea's hand, making him make all the decisions as far as a score and not actually get the ball to his other teammates. So maybe we can credit Indiana for that. But it wasn't OKC Thunder basketball. Everybody looked at it as like Oklahoma City choked, this and that. But if you watch the game, their defense was solid, and it always has been all season long. That's the constant, and that's what they hang their hat on, the defensive end, which is why I think they're going to win this championship. So the defense was fine. You saw the lead balloon to 20 points, and then Indiana start chipping away in the second half, later in the third quarter, and, of course, in the fourth. But the reason they were able to chip away, you can't chip away on an NBA team just from scoring points or just from getting stops, right? You have to score and respond too. So while Indiana was doing both, why they were getting the stops is because as Oklahoma City got that lead in the first half, it was a lot of one-on-one basketball, right? Jalen Williams shot 6 for 19 in Game 1. Shea had 38, but he only had 3 assists. Chet Holmgren had 6 points. Alex Caruso had 11 points. They didn't shoot well. They didn't get other people involved. Like, yes, Lou Dort hit 5 threes in game 1. But if you're Indiana, that's a win, right? I want Lou Dort shooting those threes. I don't want Wiggins shooting those threes. I don't want Isaiah Joe hitting those threes. I don't want Chet Holmgren getting hot. I don't want Isaiah Hartenstein getting them 15-foot floaters that are automatic. So cool, we'll live with Lou Dort hitting shots. So that played into Indiana's hands. And obviously when you do that, the momentum swings your way, and they started making shots. And then they came back, they walked them down and won game 1. Game 2, if you notice the difference, the defense was very similar on the OKC side. What they're doing to Tyrese Halliburton, they're getting the ball out of his hands early. They're pressuring him full court. They're physical, and they don't switch a lot, which is what I love so much about OKC. They play a little bit of old school NBA. Well, we're not switching on everything. Okay, we can hedge. We can get over screens. We can lock through. We can lock and trail, go underneath. I know I'm using a lot of NBA terms here, but the point I'm making is this. When you commit on the defensive end, which is what OKC has done, they're going to always be in games and always have a chance to win when you got an MVP that can get you 30 a night. And that's what I saw in game 2. Yes, Shea had his 30 plus, but he also had 8 assists, right? Chet had 16 points, 8 rebounds. He was more involved. Alex Caruso comes off the bench, had 20 points. I think Wiggins had 19 or 18 or something like that, right? The bench outscored Indiana's bench 45 to 36, 48 to 36, something like that. So those were the things in game 2 that were the difference from game 1 is they played OKC basketball. Shea's going to get his 30, but now if you let him get 30 and 8 assists, somebody else is eating. Jalen Williams still had 19, but he was more efficient. So those types of things is why they won by 20. Basically, and then they put their bench in and kind of cut the lead a little, but it was a 20-point game pretty much. That's the Oklahoma City team that I saw coming into this series and why I had them winning in 5 games is because the defense that they play, they are stubborn defensively. They're not going to give you certain things. And what they've decided to do is say, hey, Halliburton is not going to beat us, okay? Siakam is not going to beat us. You're going to have to beat us with Miles Turner and Ben Mathurin, okay? Andrew Nembhard. We're not letting your 2 guys do to us what they did to the Knicks. And that's what you're seeing, right? So this is why I think that they will win game 3 because defense travels in every sport because it's effort. Of course, you're going to have a home crowd in Indiana. Their role players are going to play better. That's traditionally what happens. That's why the OKC bench outperformed Indiana's bench in OKC. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in Indiana where their role players show up. You know, we get another big Obi Toppin game at home. You know, Andrew Nembhard has a good game or Nesmith has a good game. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But what travels are superstars and defense. And OKC has the superstar and the defense. And that's what it is. I talked to my boy yesterday. Shout out to my boy Pijo. His birthday was yesterday. We talked a little bit about, you know, who I thought was going to win the series. And we talked about Tyrese Halliburton. And it was like, and I told him this simply. There's a lot of chatter about is he a superstar, is he not? We live in a world of microwaves and recency bias. He's not a superstar, okay? Just watch the games and you can see that he's not. Has he been clutch in this playoffs? Absolutely. Is this a coming out party for him? Of course. But a superstar is consistency, right? No matter what gym you play in, you can book him for 25 plus. No matter what he is on the scouting report, no matter what schemes you got, he can go get his and get everybody else involved. So this is just a part of the evolution for Tyrese Halliburton. He's just not there yet. Shea went through it. Tatum went through it. Steph went through it. LeBron, everybody, all the great players had to climb that ladder to become superstars. And we're just watching it in real time. Brunson is on his way to getting there. He's at a level above Halliburton, I would say. But Halliburton, I would say, you know, those guys, the Donovan Mitchells, the Jalen Brunson's, like they're on the same level. And then you got like Halliburton, Darius Garland, like those guys are a notch below, but they're on their way, especially because it's Halliburton's team and he controls the game. But not to get on that tangent, back to what OKC is going to do in Indiana for game 3 tonight. The defense, championship teams, if you go back and look at any NBA finals or any sport in that matter, they set the tone early. So look to see OKC come out and set the tone on the defensive end to make a statement and take back control of this series. It's still 1-1. So it's even. You got to give respect to the Pacers. They won the game. So for OKC to win this series, they're going to have to set the tone on the defensive end early in game 3 and get the crowd out of the game. That's how you win on the road. You got to get the crowd out of it. And I think they do that. I think playing against the Denver Nuggets gave them a boost of confidence like no other. They beat a team that won a championship, and they took them to 7 games. And they had to go into Denver and win. They went to Minnesota and won, a team that went to a conference final last year, who has a budding superstar, Edwards. I feel like they are battle-tested, and they come out and win game 3 and set the tone. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Who wins game 3 and why? I'm going with OKC, setting the tone on a defensive end and using the experience that they've had over these last couple playoff series to get them this road win tonight. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Cool? Okay. I know this is what y'all been waiting for because we already talked about it. So we're going to get to it. The top 5 greatest NBA teams of all time. Okay? Now, the reason I'm doing this today is because by next week, we may already crown an NBA champion. So I don't want to miss out on having this top 5 list. And this list is going to make some people mad, but I'm going to make sure I qualify this list so y'all understand where I'm coming from. Everything has to have context. When I say top 5 teams of all time, I'm not talking about dynasties. I'm not talking about your favorite team. I'm talking about for that season, who had the greatest NBA seasons. And these are obviously NBA teams that had those seasons. So these are the top 5 greatest teams of all time. We're talking about regular season and playoffs. They put it all together and put together a masterpiece. These are the 5 greatest teams of all time. All right. At number 5, we got the 86-87 Los Angeles Lakers. All right. So this was the Laker team. This was the first of their back-to-back. They won in 87 and 88. That's when Pat Riley coined the phrase three-peat, even though they didn't get the third one. But it was that team. But specifically, that 86-87 team is the 5th greatest basketball team of all time. They went 65-17 on the season. They were the number 1 offensive rated and net rated team. They were the 3rd defensive rated team in the NBA that season. Only lost 3 playoff games, even though this is back when the first round was a best of 5. They swept. So only lost 3 games the entire playoffs. They had Hall of Famers left and right: Kareem, James Worthy, Magic Johnson, Michael Cooper, Byron Scott, Michael Thompson, which is Klay Thompson's father, for those who didn't know that. So they had a squad, right? All those dudes. They were 4-1. They had 4-1 odds to win the championship in the preseason, which means the entire world thought they were going to win a championship. And they ended up winning it. So they got in. They got it in. And one of the best teams of all time, the 86-87 LA Lakers, Magic Johnson leading the way. After losing in 86 was the Celtics that beat Houston, but they lost in 84 to the Boston Celtics. That's when they called Magic Johnson Tragic Johnson. They got their lick back in 87 on the Boston Celtics, beat them in Boston. So shout out to them. At number 4, another Lakers team, but this is the 71-72 Lakers at number 4. A lot of old heads probably looking sideways like, how do you have this team with Gail Goodrich, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain at number 4? A team that won 33 straight games this season, went 69-13, held the record for the most wins in a regular season history until the 90s. Number one in offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating, and points per game. Dominated that season. Whooped on everybody. Second in defensive rating. And they only lost 3 games in the playoffs. 2 of those games was to the defending champs at the time, Lou Alcindor, who y'all know as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson, that Milwaukee Bucks team. That's who they played in the finals and beat them in 6 games and only lost 3 games in that season or in that playoffs. But like I said, had a monster team. Pat Riley was a player on that team. So that's who we got at number 4, the 71-72 LA Lakers. At number 3, this was tough. I actually sat down with Miss D and was like, I gave her like a blind reveal. Like, all right, these are the numbers. This is the argument for this team. This is the argument for this team. Who's better? And we talked it out, and I had to put this team at number 3. The 1985-86 Boston Celtics. At the time, when they won the championship, they were considered the greatest basketball team ever, right? They were loaded with Hall of Famers. They won a lot of regular season games, dominated the playoffs. Larry Bird in his prime, in the middle of his 3 straight MVPs run. They went 67-15. Their home record for the season was 40-1. They lost 1 home game the entire regular season. So when I tell y'all we talking about top 5 NBA teams of all time, they're at number 3. They dominated the regular season and obviously the playoffs. By no surprise, all 5 of these teams were NBA champions. I don't put any almost or second place teams. You can't be an all-time great team if you ain't win it all. So that's how it is. Argue with your mama. So the Celtics were number 1 defensive rated and net rated. They were number 3 offensive rated. And again, said to be one of the best rosters ever assembled. Hall of Famers littered everywhere. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson. They had Bill Walton coming off the bench as a 6th man. So littered with stars. Great championship team, dominated everybody, 2-1 odds to win the championship. Only 3 losses in the playoffs for them as well. At number 2, so the team that I had to pick over them, and you'll see why in a second, the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors. One of the greatest teams ever, and one of the newest team on this list. The most recent team, 2016-2017. This was a 73-9 team that added prime Kevin Durant. So you can't argue that they don't deserve to be on this list. All the pressure in the world to win a championship. They were favored to win it as soon as they signed them in the Hamptons on July 4th, and they completed the mission. They were also 67-15. They were 48-4 by All-Star break, so just mopping everybody. Number 1 in offensive rating, points per game, net rating, and then number 2 in defensive rating. So again, they dominated on both ends of the court. As you notice, there's a trend with these teams, right? They're great all over the place. Lost 1 playoff game. So remember that 0-1 Lakers team that did that? They swept everybody, and Iverson stepped over Tyronn Lue, got them 1. Same thing with this team. They lost 1 playoff game, lost to the Cavs in the finals, and they ended them off in 5. So, like I said, when you have a 73-9 team, and then you add prime KD to prime Steph Curry, prime Draymond Green, prime Klay Thompson, you get the second greatest team of all time. And it's the first of their back-to-back titles because they won the next year in 2018. But I believe this 2016-2017 team was better than the second year. And then number 1, the greatest team of all time, the 95-96 Chicago Bulls. All right, best team ever. I know people are going to say he's saying this because he's from Chicago and he's a Bulls fan. The numbers don't lie, okay? The 73-9 Golden State Warriors probably would be number 1. But the Bulls coined the phrase, it don't mean a thing if you don't get the ring. So you can't blame me. Blame LeBron if you're a Golden State fan. He got y'all out of history Y'all made history the wrong way. So with that being said, the 95-96 Bulls are the number one team, the greatest team ever. And here's why. It ain't just because, like I said, I'm a Bulls fan. I grew up in Chicago. They went 72-10, which we all know already. But what y'all probably don't know is the in-between of these numbers, of the winning. They played 100 games that year, obviously making it into the playoffs. They won 87 out of those 100 games. Okay, just completely dominated the league. They started out 41-3 in the NBA. This is the best players in the world we talk about. And the Bulls went 41-3 that season to start the season out. They had an 18-game winning streak sprinkled in there. All right. They went undefeated in the month of January. How you go a whole month without getting beat? So just the stuff that they was doing was ridiculous in that season to become 72-10. The way they was just mopping everybody, right? So 42-5 by All-Star break, because All-Star break started earlier back in the day than it does now. They were 42-5 by All-Star break. Number one rated offense, defense, net rating, and points per game. They were number one in everything. So all those analytic boys, this team was number one in that. Wins by All-Star break, 42-5. 41-3 to start, 18-game winning streak, right? Destroyed everybody. Jordan won MVP that year. Regular season awards. Jordan won MVP. Tony Kukoc was the sixth man of the year. Phil Jackson was the coach of the year. Dennis Rodman won his fifth straight rebounding title that year, averaged 15 rebounds a game. So, I mean, they just dominated every aspect of the game. They're the greatest team. They have the greatest player, right? Probably the greatest number two player in Scottie Pippen, Hall of Famer. Got to show love to Scottie, right? So with all of that, they were 3-1 favorites to win the title. They ended up getting it done. Only lost 3 games in the playoffs as well. And just an amazing team. I mean, I got to watch it firsthand. I was old enough to remember it. I was old enough to celebrate it. It was a great time. And so the Chicago Bulls, 95-96, the greatest team of all time. So we'll run them off again for y'all. At number 5, we had the 86-87 Lakers is the 5th greatest team. At number 4, the 71-72 Lakers. At number 3, the 85-86 Boston Celtics, 40 wins, 1 loss at home the entire season. At number 2, Golden State Warriors, 2016-2017, the 73-9 team. Added KD, formed Voltron, unstoppable team, had all the media saying just forfeit the season because of how great these dudes are. And at number 1, the 72-10 Bulls, winning their first of their second three-peat in this season. Unbeatable, greatest team ever. 41-3. When I saw that number, that's how they started the season off, it was ridiculous. I had forgot that they did that, but I'm glad I went back and saw it. So comment below. Let me know what you think. Who are the greatest NBA teams of all time? Cool. So back to what we're talking about here. Having a great episode 88 of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. Again, always catch us on YouTube and anywhere you can listen to podcasts. So before we get up out of here, we always hit y'all with that 2-minute warning. And this one, I got a good one for y'all. This was well thought out. And again, all of these are always something personal to me, and I like to share with the audience. So I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all this one for sure. So this one is about achieving the impossible by believing it is possible. So it just like it's stated, right? When you think about inventions, you think about great things in history, you think about sports, miracles, all these things became possible that people thought were impossible, right? So we were able to do them. And all that just comes from believing in yourself. The bottom line is that. So naysayers, people that don't believe in your dreams or people that think you can't do something, it's all appropriated fear from them. They don't think that you can't do it because of your hard work or because of your mentality, your personality. They have a fear because they can't do it. They can't see themselves doing it. So it feels impossible to them. And that's why when people do things, the impossible, is because they believe that it is possible. And that's what it is. That's all what a miracle is, or what greatness is. The first step to doing something great or doing something impossible is believing that it is possible first, and having that idea in your head and having that goal. So that's what you got to do. If anything wants to be achieved, we're 88 episodes in. I saw this happening. Other people probably didn't see this happening, but I did. And I know this show is going to grow and get greater because of you guys, but it's because I see it happening and I put in the work for it to happen. So I'm no different from any of you guys. But the first step to making the impossible possible is believing it first. So putting that belief in, then putting in the work, obviously, and having a plan to structure it right. But it comes from the idea and the belief. And that's how you achieve the impossible, is believing that it can be possible. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight to the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. Again, we are everywhere. So we want you to subscribe on YouTube. We also want you to like, share, and subscribe on social media and anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Again, y'all like the gear. You can always get the screen printed. I got the shirts coming here soon. I know I keep telling y'all that. I got to get those orders in with my man Snooch. And we'll have the t-shirts. So holler at me for sizes, colors. We do all sizes and colors of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast. Screen printed new t-shirts. I will have those this summer. So I thank y'all for tuning in. Again, this is season 8, episode 4 of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast, episode 88. Next week, we will probably have an NBA champion crowned. We'll probably have a Stanley Cup champion crowned. We will get more into some NFL minicamp. A lot of good things going on this summer. We'll dive more into some baseball. This is Jay Mondane of the X-Factor Sportz Podcast signing out. Peace.